Wakanda really needs some constitutional amendments. We got to deal with, there's some things we won't let our kings do. For example, burn all the herbs and make himself the last king, like he's going to take our country down in flames. That should be against our laws.
Is it okay to say that ritual combat is just not a good method for succession?
Yeah, I would agree.
I mean, that's kind of Star Trek Mirror Universe territory.
But even if you're going to do that, you should say, just in case, a violent, deranged, since that's literally the only necessary qualification to take the kingship, person should have some checks on their behalf.
In the first scene where they introduced the combat, it seemed like nobody expected anyone to step up and actually do it. It was expected.
It was actually, I was kind of like, wow, this is really wimpy. Come on. You should have some proof.
Fight everybody.
If you're not gonna, if this is your ceremony, you do something with it. Yeah. Like, unless it's just supposed to be, we all like you so much, we're not even gonna make you work for it. Those kind of mixed messages.
He's a likable guy. I mean,
he is.
In fact, I mean, I think that's probably why he wasn't in the movie as much as you would think. Because he's just so nice and likable, like, what do you do with him for 2 hours?
You're heading off my complaint.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Let's see. This is just recapping what we talked about during the movie. Anyway, I'm pretty sure I made a comment about feminism run amok, but just being like, are we in the world where a black guy isn't enough to be the star of his movie? Because it felt like he was only in a third of it. But you make a good point. He's like.
What do you do? Yeah,
he's already had his journey in Civil War. Mm-hmm. He's a nice guy. He doesn't really have personal demons. There's only so much you can do with him, so you kind of do need to sidetrack him in order to have a long enough plot for there to be a movie.
Yeah.
And I have to say, it was really obvious. Really obvious. Like, at the point the ritual combat happened, like I said, she sealed his fate when she's like, no one will beat T'Challa. It's like, wow. By movie laws, there is literally no way he can win now. But even before the combat started, when he said, I accept, you knew what was going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
The guy's going to win, and then he's going to get the herb, so since he's already a bigger fighter, he'll now be the bigger enhanced fighter, which makes the hero the underdog, just like they did in The Incredible Hulk, just like they did in Ant-Man, He's the Hulk, but bigger and meaner. He's a shrinking guy, but with lasers,
And he can fly a little bit, maybe.
Could he? I think. I don't really remember. I don't care.
It's not a memorable.
It's Ant-Man. No one cares. So he's a bigger, badder version of the hero. He's going to get knocked off a waterfall.
There's 2 rules about movies that have waterfalls in them. Rule number 1, somebody's going to fall off the waterfall. Rule number 2, nobody's going to die by falling off the waterfall.
Honestly, I'm waiting for the how it should have ended video. It's like Black Panther, how it should have ended. And he's just got that guy in a headlock with his knees, and he's like out over the edge. He's like, submit, your people need you, which is a really cool thing of him to do.
Yeah.
And then guy's like, I submit, and he's like, oh good, and then they both go off the side. You knew exactly what was going to happen.
Yeah.
He's going to get defeated, he's going to fall, he's going to be near death, he's going to have to struggle back with the help of a plucky band and retake the kingdom with some of the resources it gets. Honestly, I was pleased that at least the general ended up siding back with him. I thought he was going to have to be a one-man army or one man plus his 4 or 5 allies against everyone. Where the plot was going was really obvious, but I felt like the execution was enough that it worked anyway. Like, even though when we reached that point in the movie and the stupid green lip guy, I'd be like, you're off the council. You're off the council now, dude.
They were all thinking it. They were all wondering.
Yeah, but he's the one that actually said something.
Someone would have said it if he didn't say it.
But from the moment he asked the question, I knew exactly where the rest of the movie was going.
Yeah.
But the execution was entertaining enough that it's like, that didn't really ruin it.
Absolutely. It is your classic, 3-act structure movie with the hero. And
it is so textbook generic in terms of superhero movie, early success, struggle, have to reclaim, get deconstructed, and build your way back up from the bottom. Like, it was so paint by numbers, but they did it in a good way.
This shows that is not necessarily a bad thing.
Turn around, we're getting into
I know, I think it's so scary out here, I don't know.
Let's circle around.
They were clearly paralleling the first Iron Man movie a little bit at the end, and it kind of feels like they're setting up Black Panther to maybe kind of lead the universe after Robert Downey Jr. is not going to be in anymore,
That'd be a good choice. I mean, they could just be making it up as they go along and be like,
Yeah.
wow, this is the
If it
best
works.
response we've had to a new character since, like, Iron Man and Cap, who are probably both going to be bowing out soon.
Nobody was really
So-
that enthused about Doctor Strange
Yeah,
or
no one's gonna-
Ant-Man. So this
No
is our
one's going to
guy.
be going like, oh, Ant-Man will lead the Avengers.
But people like Black Panther.
But Black
and-
Panther, yeah.
So,
And
good choice.
no one's going to be like, Doctor Strange going to lead the Avengers, and you know why? Because somehow 90% of Benedict Cumberbatch's cool is apparently tied up in his British accent. When you take that away, he's just kind of there.
That's true.
Um,
Man, Martin Freeman without a British accent is kind of weird.
Yeah.
To get used to at first.
Yeah.
I like it. I mean, I guess we saw that in Civil War, was it, or was it Avengers?
I
think it was
actually didn't
Avengers.
remember him.
Yeah, because he was interviewing. No, it was Civil War because he was interviewing the guy who was like behind the whole plot in Civil War.
Oh, that was
like,
him?
Yeah.
Wow, I'm terrible with actors.
Yeah.
Recognizing them.
I like how, like, I didn't know how they were going to bring him in, and he's brought in because he just randomly happens to be the agent assigned to this job.
Well, it's like how Felix Leiter happens to show up on every case that James Bond is, as if they're the only two agents in their respective countries. But like, I know it would have been blatant pandering and everything, and the MCU tries to keep their references internal, just like the whole, this is the first black superhero movie, and people are going, have you seen Blade? And I must add, because I haven't seen Blade, but Steel was a
Never
great
seen
movie
Steel.
in the 90s, overlooked.
I've heard Blade is,
Much more popular, but
yeah.
but they kind of try and write it like, let's see if we can convince everyone that the first one in our universe is the first one ever, because that's what they want to do. They want to get the focus on them. So I get why they wouldn't do this, but come on. They couldn't have had the two of them discussing vibranium, and Claw is just like, this is a really precious metal. This is precious just once. Just once. You could organically work that into the dialogue so easily.
Yeah, not
Andy
a single...
Serkis, Martin Freeman, and one of them mentions precious. It's not much to ask. And like you said, such a missed opportunity. Michael B. Jordan and Captain America, who is in
Together on
Wakanda, the two Johnny Storms.
Yeah.
You couldn't just, for one scene.
Who went on to be in better movies. Given a second chance, superhero-wise.
You could even just throw, yeah, exactly. Johnny Storm is your ticket into the MCU.
Yeah, exactly.
But, like, seriously, just one scene, just one real quick scene where they, like, he's taken up the mantle of king, right? Then they drag out Captain America in shackles, and Captain America's like, what have you done with T'Challa? And he's just like, you will not interfere in this, and has him put in prison. That explains why he's not here helping if he's a house guest in Wakanda somewhere, and it also gives them just a quick chance to have some screen time together.
Yeah, because he's there at the end of Captain America, and he's apparently there at the start of Infinity.
Yeah,
well,
so
in the trailer, he's there.
Unless he's coming and going at will and outrunning missions of some sort, it's like, was he just standing there watching and be like, oh, wonder what all those Wakandans are fighting out. And oh, look, there's rhinos now.
Plus, this movie apparently takes place in closer to like 2016, right after Civil War, because they're showing like the news report on the bombing and everything.
Yeah.
So this is like
not
right
that the
after.
timeline makes any sense anymore after Spider-Man: Homecoming.
That's fine. I really expected him to show up at some point.
It's like, it's so, well, there was something, and I don't even remember what I said to you now. I said something about Chekhov's. Oh, that's right. I said when the gorilla guys, I don't remember their name, showed up at the challenge center. I was just like, oh, it's Chekhov's cloistered mountain tribe that's been taken down off the mountain. Off the mantle.
It's true.
But,
I mean, obviously, we all knew they were going to show up.
Yeah. They were placed there really obviously.
Yeah.
But it feels like Captain America was placed in Wakanda just as obviously at the end of Civil War. So it was. I really have to wonder if there was a deleted scene or something there, because it just feels like that's the kind of thing that'd be nice to explain. Just, you don't have to dwell on it, just a throwaway line. But when you left one of your heroes specifically in an isolated environment that is undergoing very public problems, the fact that he doesn't show up is a little strange.
All right, but that said, I can respect that they wanted to tell a self-contained story, and the same reason why they didn't include an Infinity Gem, because they wanted to focus on what is unique about Wakanda.
Oh yeah,
and I think it totally worked.
Like I said, I feel like it could have been the after credit scene. Have him.
Yeah. I mean, they had Bucky, so why not have Captain America?
wakes up in a stasis pod. He's like, oh, that's interesting. I just want to see what Bucky had been through. So how long have I been out? A week?
Why was
Did anything happen?
Captain America wasn't in a...
No, that's what I'm saying. He's like, I just want to give one a try.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, turn it into a gag, just sort of a joke after credits scene
Right.
about what he was doing during this time, and make it a joke that he is
Well,
oblivious
he's
that
growing a
anything
beard.
happened.
That's what he's doing.
I don't think for most people that takes physical effort. Although now I'm just picturing him
Well,
sitting there going,
it's the
Getting his
serum.
hair
It made his skin so strong. He has to force the follicles.
right. I will just reiterate, Wakanda's governmental system is extremely messed up.
Yeah.
Like, I did at least appreciate that the general recognized that the challenge had not been completed,
Yes.
as T'Challa very
And-
clearly and obviously pointed out. The fact that there are other people that didn't. Like, I get that the one guy is really mad, even though he's also kind of an idiot for not having realized that the guy he's following is the guy who took Claw away from him and kept T'Challa from bringing him in. But, like,
also,
even if he has a vested interest, the
I
soldiers
don't know if you
following
would
him
realize
should be
that.
like...
I feel like this is the first time this situation has ever come up. Like anything like this has ever happened in Wakanda, where someone of royal blood was born outside of Wakanda. So just nobody is mentally prepared
that's
for
the
this.
thing. They keep talking about how much more advanced it is, but again, like I said during the movie, even the primitive United States, we have that rule about you've got to be born in this country to become the president.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like Wakanda should consider. I get,
But it's
that
an-
is
it's an
literally the last
isolationist-
thing on their mind
Right.
because no one is ever outside. But even
Exactly.
so, it feels. I was hoping there would be a mention at the end of like, we need to change a few of our rules. Clearly,
Yeah.
no matter who it is, you're not allowed to burn the heart-shaped herbs.
Well, okay, but about that though.
Are there more? Of them?
Are there more? Is there like a secret one growing somewhere?
I hope so.
Because otherwise, this is the last Black Panther.
And how long does the dosage last? Is it lifelong unless you take some of that stupid challenge?
Yeah, I
drink,
assumed
or-
it was. I kind of assumed that was the only way to get rid of the powers.
Hopefully.
I don't know. It seems like that would fit.
Hopefully, otherwise it's gonna be like the next one is like, get
It's
this
just a
man a
guy.
shield because I have no
And
powers
get me
anymore.
an
They ran out
exosuit.
last month. Was that a good impression, or was that racist? I can never tell with accents. Like, accents are fun to do, but I'm never sure how they come off
You know,
if you get them wrong.
it's in good nature. I think
Okay.
it's fine. So these guys could totally fix War Machine's legs, right?
Well, it seemed like maybe
And his broken spine or whatever.
I thought that might be fixed already. I don't know.
He was
but-
he was like doing physical therapy, but he was having a lot of trouble last time we saw him.
Well, true. I just thought since then, you know,
Maybe.
or Tony could build him something, or
I mean, I'm assuming if
maybe
he's
Doctor
in,
Strange
we
can
see
help.
him. We see the War Machine suit in the trailer, and I guess if he's in the suit, he's fine.
Right.
But
Well,
yeah.
I don't know. I got the impression the damage maybe has to be recent.
Maybe.
Like, 'cause I do think when your body sort of sets and calcifies and scabs everything over, you know,
it would be at least more difficult.
the window is passed or something. I wasn't really even clear how they healed him, but I don't think it's
With
supposed to be.
vibranium,
Right, with vibranium.
it glows, which means it can do anything.
So obviously at the beginning I was rolling my eyes and saying, here's another retcon for the Marvel Universe.
Oh, yeah,
Like, but
it's
eventually
secret.
Iron Man is going to look so stupid because there have been 20 other superheroes running around before then. But
Like-
they did a good job of actually explaining
Right.
the whole, here's why they thought Howard Stark had all the world's vibranium and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
when the guy is like, what help can a bunch of farmers give to the world? I was just
Is
hoping...
that what he said?
Or whatever it was
yeah,
that he said at
yeah.
the UN at the end. I was hoping the next after credit scene would cut immediately back in there, and he like shoots a hologram up in the air and then blasts some anti-gravity lasers around, and then he turns to the guy. He's like, "What country are you from? Huh? England? Okay, you don't get any.
Yeah.
Rest of the world, but not you.
You're rude.
Yeah.
You're out. It is just funny to me that both the end of the movie, like before the credits start scene, and the first mid-credit sequence both end with Black Panther being asked a question and then cut to Black before
So
he answers.
they talk about superhero movie cliches, and you know,
Yeah.
every movie they're like, is the genre tapped out? And I get the feeling that question will rise huge after Avengers 3, because
yeah.
then it's going to be like, well, this is what
It's gonna
everyone's
be-
been around for a decade and a half for.
Right.
You really got to hook us in. And I hope that they do make a movie that is good and self-contained enough to be its own thing, and not too focused on setting up the next phase of the universe
But isn't there like a fourth Avengers that directly follows this one?
No,
in
I
theory?
think there are several movies after that. I mean, that's
Oh,
the
but
thing.
I mean plot-wise, because it was gonna be part 2.
Right,
And now it's not part 2.
That's the question. I'm just hoping that it's a satisfying enough self-contained thing that they have enough confidence to do that instead of leaving it way open-ended with seeds and plot threads for the next one. You know what I mean?
Oh, definitely. I really want it to be the conclusion, like this is wrapping everything up.
Yeah.
You know?
I hope they have enough confidence in their
Yeah.
brand to do that, even though I would totally understand if they see a massive drop-off after that because people are like, okay, this is exhausting to keep up with. Now that's finished. I'm out.
Well, and
like,
Black-
I won't be, but I totally
No.
would get the casual moviegoer with me.
I feel like Black Panther represents a shift in tone for the Marvel movies, and if they use it as a jumping off point for post Infinity War, then that could really work to just, instead of just keep going with the same types of plots over and over, kind of shift the tone a little bit and bring something fresh, you know?
They've talked about cliches of superhero movies, and I think that there are some that they've tried to phase out or tried to drop that element because it's tired to do something new. But two cliches that they need to stop are ending the movie with the hero about to say their name and you cut to the ending title card instead.
Right.
Because I can think of a half dozen movies off the top of my head that end that way.
Yes.
And two, although it was really cool, especially when he picked up the truck off the moving display and like did the roof off and part of it glowed out, really cool take on like
On
a heads-up
holograms
display
and-
kind
yeah.
of thing. But enough already with the weird display devices. Like we had living metal in Man
Okay.
of Steel. Now we had like black sand. We had like weird plasticky chrome in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. That's cool. I like it, but it's time to stop now. It's not an original concept anymore.
This is true. I would say that it's justified because this is supposed to be technology that's developed independently. But we saw right at the start that they have normal holograms that are like two-dimensional, right?
Right.
So they have that. They also have the sand thing, which makes it kind of weird.
The sand thing is really cool.
It is.
And the stuff they
Very
did with
visually
it
cool.
was, I love the idea of an interactive display you can pick up and play with like a toy, get some physicality to it. So that's cool. And the building interactive, like, vehicle controls to remote pilot.
Yeah.
That was cool. But let's call this a high note to go out on and not try and come up with another one in the next movie.
The whole remote piloting thing kind of took away a lot of the peril, I felt, for some scenes. It's like it's a way to have a character be involved with the action without any risk to that character.
I don't know, I thought it worked.
Although with Martin Freeman, it was genius because it's like he has to make a choice to like keep doing this or possibly die.
Right.
But with the sister,
I wasn't sure he was going to make it. Well, that's
Yeah.
the thing, though. I didn't think that the sister was supposed to be in peril. That worked because it was just a cool idea to get him car surfing.
So they could focus on.
So they could focus on him
without worrying about the driver.
And they could eventually take away his car without killing anyone. And,
Exactly,
And I
that's
thought
true.
that they had killed, was it Nikita? Was it?
In the general.
No,
the other driver.
the spy that was his ex.
Oh, right. I
Was
forget
it
her name.
something like that? I'm terrible with names. It
Was
felt
she
like-
driving the car with the general, or was that one of the
Right,
other warriors?
yeah, she was the one driving the car with the
Okay,
general.
yes.
And that's the thing. I thought they killed her at
Yeah.
first. And then she's okay, and I'm like, how? And then it's like, oh, right, vibranium car. Okay, that
vibranium
works.
car, vibranium
It-
clothes.
Right.
Everything's vibranium.
So that worked.
The magic.
That was a
mineral.
great sequence.
Yeah.
It's funny. It felt like they were kind of like... I'm probably reading too much into it. I don't think this is the kind of movie with many politics or things you could read too much into involved.
No, they stayed away
But-
from any analogies, really, and political comparisons.
But the whole thing with the car driver's seat pulling up, one of the best scenes and best punchlines in this recent season of The Flash involved the same thing. So I almost wondered if it was sort of trying to one-up that. But again, I'm probably just thinking after that great Deadpool trailer joke of, it's not like we're trying to remove a mustache. Like, okay, that is good, timely humor, perfect.
Which they could do because it's just a voice line.
Yeah.
So they could throw it in last minute. Unlike the "What are those?" joke, which he like points to his sandals. That was a meme when the movie was in production. Now it's a little dated. You probably missed that one
I
completely.
missed that one, which is weird because I'm usually so hip and socially relevant.
Yeah, I was expecting that you'd be up on all the youth culture.
But speaking of, let's just get the politics references out of the way first. There was a lot in there that was teeth grinding. Most of it was given to the villain, but it was a little frustrating that it wasn't a little more refuted by the other characters. But the only two things that really
I couldn't get into politics,
just dismiss was like, what's up with the colonizers thing? Like, not every non-African country has, not even, I don't think every country of white people has done colonies.
When she said that, at first I was like, oh yeah, Martin Freeman's British, this makes sense. And then I was like, wait a second, he's playing an American. But then I was like,
technically, we do have protectorates?
But then I was like, wait a second, Wakanda's an isolationist country. To them, pretty much every other country is closer on the spectrum to colonizers.
It's just weird. It kind of felt like it was supposed to be kind of like a racist insult, or kind of like a, you know what I'm saying? Like a slur against other nationalities. And I got why the villain was using it, but it was weird for her using it. Like, if that was supposed to be world building, saying these people aren't subtle, they also have their prejudices, I get it. But otherwise, it's like, I get what you're going for, but why would you have her be the one to say that? And the other thing was the villain's death was really well done and really emotional, and I actually managed to feel for him after all he'd done. I mean, honestly, anytime they focused on his backstory, I felt for him. Anytime they focused on what he was doing now, the sympathy evaporated.
Well, that's kind of the point. It's like...
But until his last line kind of ruined it, when he's like, bury me in the ocean like my ancestors who knew that death was better than bondage. And it's like, they were kidnapped and enslaved unjustly. You would be literally getting legal imprisonment for, murder of dozens of people.
Wait, but would he? Because he was acting under their legal system legitimately. He took the throne legitimately.
He wasn't in South Korea.
That's true. He committed crimes before that, but that's outside of their jurisdiction. I mean, would they lock him up?
I don't know. Well, I mean, he just assumed.
Charlie didn't refute it.
I would say under laws like, burning all the sacred heart-shaped herbs, just
that might be a law.
Herbs.
I don't know.
But if that was a law, then why didn't they actually?
They transition back and forth between speaking the Wakandan language and speaking English, and I kind of assume when it's all Wakandans present that they're still supposed to be speaking Wakandan.
Oh, I figured that
So
too.
heart-shaped herb is probably just a word in Wakanda that you can't translate. That just means heart-shaped.
There you go. But maybe even so, I felt like comparing the two was in bad taste and really self-aggrandizing and therefore really dumb. Like, they were victims. Whatever he is, he was not a victim.
I mean,
He was an attempted world dictator.
I mean, obviously he's the villain. He was wrong in what he was trying to do, but that's his character, right? Like, and they gave him clear motivations for becoming that character.
Yeah.
They showed how he became that character, so I feel like for him not to think that way would have just been out of character,
No, I understand. I think just his vocalizing it at that moment as his last words felt really stupid to me. Like, I get how his mindset would make him think that way, but it's a bad note to end on.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying, but I think you either have to have the villain accept mercy and surrender and let himself be healed and become a good guy, or die in his beliefs.
Really? Okay, I can see that.
Yeah, so...
Again, I don't think it was necessarily character inconsistent.
Yeah.
I just felt like a clumsy line, and it ruined the emotion of the moment. Like, even if that
he was thinking about it for the whole elevator. He was planning that line for the elevator ride up.
It sounds like the kind of thing that you would plan for a moment like that. It's not as
it's a little
good
poetic.
as you.
It's not like off the cuff.
Right. I just feel like the sentiment could have been expressed with a better written line, or a better written sentiment communicating the same sort of martyr complex-ish thing, but without actually comparing the guy who tried to start war with the world with the people that were unjust.
Yeah, I felt, the reason this movie probably worked even though the plot was so cliched is because it was relatable. Like, it's not, you can understand where people are coming from. It's not just a villain who's just trying to get power and take over the world because it's, he believes that there's some injustice, and he feels the best way to fight that is with more injustice.
Right.
And that's what he's trying to do.
And that's the thing. That's exactly what I was thinking. As like, it's funny some of the way he's talking. It's like when you get Caucasians talking that way, it's, white nationalism. And then I realized, oh, that's very clever. They're using him as a mirror for what's going on in white America.
That's true.
And the way that we're talking and saying, see how ridiculous this would be if you put it on the other foot and tried to act like, we need to do weapons to overthrow the... I'm just picturing half the people in the cities be like, what are you doing? I'm not enslaved. I have a pretty good job in that law firm over there. What are you...
They're loyal to the U.S. government. It's like, what am I supposed to do with this?
Yeah, they point the guns at the guys that are handing them out. We actually would rather you not bring war to our country, please. And since I've got a gun, I'm not even saying please anymore. Stop trying to start war in my country.
But it was really layered too, though, because there was a kernel of truth to what he believed.
It's true.
It's like, what was Wakanda doing during the slave trade? Like, how could they just stand by and let that happen when they would have been even more ahead of the world technologically back then than they are today?
And they would have been right there where the kidnappers were in very small force. And,
with like muskets and
it would have been really easy to take on the very small force of slavers.
So that's what I feel makes the best villains, is that something that they believe has some truth to it.
Right.
So you can't just reject it whole, like Red Skull or something, and be like, well, they're just evil. Don't have to listen to them.
Are they going to bring him back? Because, come on.
I hope so.
Come on, it's about time. He's one of the few that they didn't kill off. They always seem to kill off their best ones.
They don't even have to hire the same actor, although they should. Just because he's a Red Skull, he could be anybody.
It's true. But maybe they'll just reveal him in, like, the next movie and be like, I've been Hank Pym all along.
And everyone was expecting him to be Robert Redford, right? And which Captain America was that?
Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny, isn't it? They kill off, I don't want to say only their best villains, because they also killed off the villain in Ant-Man and in Iron Man 2. And
they
those were
didn't
not their
kill
best
off
villains.
Loki.
True.
Who ranks up there.
True. I really wonder, because it feels like his story arc was ready to be finished. But he's so central to the Infinity Gems thing and Thanos that it's like his character arc was wrapped up nicely in Ragnarok. So I almost wonder, it's like tearing the Band-Aid off the open, like, how are they going to bring him into Avengers, and are they going to be able to, amidst all the other plot lines they have to service, satisfactorily wrap up his story? Because I can't imagine.
Loki?
Yeah, I can't imagine that Tom Hiddleston wants to keep coming back forever. He's probably about ready to be done, and it feels like, are they just going to throw in a weird postscript that shoots him off into another character direction that's just one moment out of many in a huge character-packed film, and then not be able to do justice to the end? It's the same thing we talked about with the Incredibles sequel. You left it in a good place. Don't mess it up with whatever you followed
it really
up with.
feels like they could be heading in the direction of him just repeating his first Avengers role. And I hope that's not the case, but they obviously wanted you to think in the trailer that he's giving the cube to Thanos.
They could be really clever and have him be like, I will be your herald, leaves with him and everything, and then on Earth turns into a double agent and fights alongside the Avengers. I mean, that's sort of the culmination of his arc
redemption.
Which would be really cool. Except now that we've ruined it for ourselves and anyone watching this, so all two of you. That's probably overestimating our audience size by 2. But
and miss all this shaky cam? I mean,
yeah, I know. So yeah, the villain was good. He was like, again, it's like, it is funny. He's one of those villains that is actually surprising how well he can switch from really hateable and you monster, I can't wait to see you get your comeuppance, to, oh man, but he did get a raw deal. I wish he could be redeemed. Like,
yeah.
I've seen villains be one or the other, but the way he can go back and forth. Like, arguably someone like Zemo should have been like that, but I feel like
that's what they
pulled
wanted
it
Zemo
off.
to be.
Yeah.
But the problem with Zemo
worked so much better.
Well, Zemo was behind the scenes so much. In the movie, you didn't get the chance to feel like that for him.
Yeah, well, it's the Doctor Who problem.
Yeah.
In the Stephen Moffat era, if you're too busy holding all your cards close to the vest, you can't
The audience
you
needs to
can't
see the
let
cards.
the audience into anything with your characters because they're too busy keeping their secrets. It's true what people say. Like, I haven't seen Chronicle, and I was kind of distracted during Fan Four Stick by how terrible Fan Four Stick was.
Yes.
But it's like Michael B. Jordan is really good at what he does. So that's why
good
it's kind of
actor.
like really sad that he's
Yeah.
one of the one-shot villains. I mean, always leave him wanting more, I guess. But it's like, no, we need more villains of this caliber in the MCU. Like, the last few that I feel like have been actual successes, yeah, you had Michael B. Jordan, you had Kate Blanchett, you had Kurt Russell, and as far as we know, spoilers, they're all dead. Like, there's some ambiguity with Hela. They could always bring her back as Thanos'
If she dies, then she can be a skeleton, which is what we all want for Thanos.
although then you'd kind of be losing Kate Blanchett.
No, well, she can like appear with like rotted flesh. You know, that's what we want to see Kate Blanchett.
Right, I'm sure that's the image she wants to project to the public for her career.
I don't know. I think Lady Death had like appeared as a normal being at points, if I remember.
But yeah, it feels like stop killing all your best villains. On the other hand, I don't know how you could really do it differently, especially with Ego. Like, there's really nowhere for his story to go
you can't
except
leave Ego
But-
alive. Did we talk about Andy Serkis when we were recording here? I don't remember if we did.
Well,
but
we briefly mentioned that he should have said Precious. That's about it.
Well, yes. But I mean, he was just so fun to watch, I felt, in
Yeah.
this movie. It's like, I mean, maybe it wouldn't have worked to have him in it more, like, that's just something you need a limited dose of.
Yeah.
But it does kind of suck that he died because he was just so fun to watch.
Yeah,
He
I was
wasn't-
upset when they killed him off because I felt like with the whole vengeance angle,
Yeah.
like there was so much emotional payoff that robbed us of. But when it turned out to be his ticket into Wakanda and the lever for turning,
Then it worked.
turning the general's husband against them, then it's like, okay, I see why you did that.
He
That
wasn't
works.
really like that in Age of Ultron, I don't think. His character, I mean, he's been exaggerated, I feel.
Yeah, just a little.
Maybe losing his arm did that.
He's sequel Jack Sparrow. His character became popular, so he took all the quirks and layered more quirks on top of them.
Yes.
Became a caricature of himself. He was good. I liked all the tech. I wasn't expecting the film to go to South Korea. That's a little random, but kind of cool that they actually filmed there. I mean, I guess it probably
emerging
wasn't
market.
as terrifying to film there as it would have been in the last few months, since they probably did this a couple of years ago before.
I was just thinking, wasn't Doctor Strange also there, or was that China?
I don't remember either. Or was it Tibet? I thought it was.
I mean, they were in Tibet for the training and whatever, but for the when Dormammu
Right, that's
was doing
right.
the thing.
Ah, that's a good question. I don't remember where that was. Again, because it was Doctor Strange, which is only slightly more interesting than Ant-Man.
Yes, trying to think of any other final
Yeah, I
thoughts.
feel like all the characters were good, obviously.
Yeah.
It felt like it was...
the
General's
lady,
movie was the
which
real
is-
protagonist
I
of
mean,
this film.
let's be honest with ourselves, what we all want.
Well,
That she's
I mean, she
a commanding presence.
She was. I liked her as a character, and if there was a movie about her, I'd probably go and see it. I just felt in the first half of the film, it was a little bit of a bait and switch because T'Challa is also a great character, and I came to see a movie about him. But obviously we discussed why they did it the way that they did. If you're going to bait and switch me and give me a different main character, at least you gave me a main character that is fun to watch.
Yeah,
So that
definitely.
works.
They
That works.
kind of shot themselves in the foot by deciding not to do any more origin stories, because an origin story about Black Panther would have given him a lot more screen time and stuff to work with. But
Yeah,
since
that's
he's
funny.
set up,
They do just keep getting thrown in there.
yeah.
When is the last origin story we got? Would that have been Doctor Strange?
Well, yeah, definitely. Yeah, was that after Ant-Man? That would have been Doctor
Yeah.
Strange.
'Cause,
I
yeah,
think
Spider-Man was
Captain Marvel
pre-introduced.
has to be one, though.
Yeah, I'm sure she'll have
Yeah.
to. That's going to be really interesting to see what they do with that.
Definitely.
That feels like they've already done space, and they've
little.
done...
Like they can't do Guardians with this, right? It can't be
Right.
Guardian style.
And so it's like, how else do you do... And do you do a more serious space opera? Will that feel like it fits in the MCU? You know?
So far, I think, like, my thinking is it's going to be a Superman movie. It's an alien who comes to Earth and wears a colorful costume, and
Really? I thought...
doesn't she?
No,
Or she gets the suit. or something?
Marvel, the original Captain Marvel, the guy, I think, was a
So Captain
Skrull or a
Marvel,
Kree, but she's somewhat different.
Allison Brie, is it? What's her name?
Carol Danvers, isn't it? Yeah, Carol Danvers. Miss Marvel.
And is that the one in the movie?
That's
The
what I
character
thought they
in
were
the
doing,
movie.
because they keep talking about it being female-led, and the original Captain Marvel was the alien,
But this-
and Miss Marvel
all right.
was her,
Have you
but I
seen
think that
the-
she has taken the Captain Marvel mantle. Obviously, I'm not
Possibly.
as up on this.
I mean, they're going to change
as I
things,
used to
obviously.
be.
MCU always does. But have you seen the set pictures?
I have not.
She's wearing a costume that has the green and silver colors like Marvel wore.
Huh.
Which kind of makes me feel like
Maybe
they're just
they're going with a
combining that.
hybrid? Yeah,
Right.
that's
And she'll be
interesting.
an alien. Because it's like, we already got a bunch of super strong humans. We don't need another one.
Right. Well, I thought she was kind of on another level. Like, in some ways, she would be up there with or above Thor, more maybe at Superman power
Yeah,
levels, to the
yeah.
point where she would be kind of like, well, Vision aside, since he's kind of OP, but generally something that the Marvel Universe hasn't had in terms of power levels, and that's what would make her unique, that she would be more invincible
Sure.
than the other heroes. But it sounds like maybe they could be going for a totally different direction. I'm just going to
Who
try to
knows?
avoid spoilers and find
Yeah.
out when it comes out. But so is it Ant-Man first and then Avengers?
No,
or-
that's the weird thing. It's Avengers, and then the next month it's Ant-Man, which,
So I guess-
even though Ant-Man looks like it takes place before Avengers.
Yeah, it involves them running.
And Ant-Man is in Avengers, so it's like...
Right,
That's
yeah.
gonna be a little...
I guess that's him while he's still on the run, and at the end he gets caught and put in an ankle bracelet. You wrap things up, you wrap up the huge trilogy, and what you decide to follow it with is the next Ant-Man? That's gonna draw the crowds.
But it's
got
the Wasp.
Yes, and if she was
Everyone's
anyone other than Kate from Lost, the worst,
Kate from Lost.
and Toriel. I mean, Toriel was fine. Her plot line was just terrible. Whereas in Lost, she was a terrible character, even though she had a decent story. So
Well-
maybe this film will either be her as a great character with a great story, or the perfect trifecta of terrible character and terrible story.
We haven't seen who the villain is, and I think that will determine if the villain has any type of shrieking or growing powers. It will be a bad movie.
How do you even stage the final fight if it's not about shrinking and growing? But you saw that shot in the trailer. It looked like some sort of exploratory ship in the super micro world. You know
Yeah,
what would
yeah,
be really awesome is if they actually took a cue from Hulk. Because, you know, there was an era of the Hulk in the 70s where, before Planet Hulk, they did sort of the same idea, where he got shrunk down and was on a microscopic world the size of an atom and fell in love with a
Hulk?
girl there and was like a super... Yeah.
Hulk was?
Yeah, just like World
Wait,
War...
did they use Pym particles to do this?
I think, just like Planet Hulk, I think it was the Earth trying to get rid of him. And for a while, he was like swords and sorcery in this medieval kingdom as this warrior hero that loved this queen. And they basically, 30 years later, was like, no one remembers that. Let's do it in space this time.
All right, hang on. So
I think it'd be...
can you imagine if the Hulk just shows up in Ant-Man and the Wasp? And the Hulk should just be in all Marvel.
All Marvel movies.
And they should just adapt his story to whatever the theme of that movie is.
But I'm just saying, I wish they would take a cue from that and actually go find Janet, and maybe that could be the setup for Ant-Man 3.
Oh, they're definitely
go
gonna be
find
finding
Janet
her, yeah.
in a microscopic, like, medieval kingdom or some microscopic world. Because honestly, let's face it, if they find a new world in Marvel, usually it's gonna look like Wakanda. It's gonna be a neon-lighted technological city. So I'd love it if they actually had them as superheroes in a swords and sandals sorcery setting. Because, like, not even just
That'd be interesting.
like in Thor, where they have some of those trappings, but they're still a technological civilization. But, like, everyone is in armor and wearing swords, but it's like Ant-Man and the Wasp. So they're not like, you know, I will fly in with my super strength and rout whole armies. They still have limitations. You know what I mean? So they're scaled to the threat. And it's like, we have superpowers and we have blasters, but they have hundreds of guys in metal armor that can still come and kill our friends before we can take them all out. So it's a challenge. I think that would be cool. I don't know if they would
I
do
don't
anything
think they would
like that.
ever do that, but it would be cool.
I'm just saying, if they go to escape the authorities into the micro world, then they could do an Ant-Man 3. They would just have to, you know, completely write them out of the next Avengers, which they probably don't want to do.
Yeah.
But they could set up for Janet is, you know, she's barbarian queen of the microscopic kingdom, and they have to, you know, maybe their ship crashes. To repair it, they have to hold off the hordes to repair their ship and escape, or something.
Yeah, like that's the movie, right? Like that's the bulk of it.
Yeah,
And
that would be a
weird.
bold new experiment.
It would be different.
It
and
would
that's
make
what they
Ant-Man
need.
interesting, which is what we need right now.
But he has the ant van. You saw it. That's interesting. It's a van that shrinks.
Right.
The ant van.
The problem is, all I'm seeing from this movie is the same as last movie.
Yeah.
Small things get made large and turned into weapons, or go small and then large again to
But
hit something.
Only comical things can get large.
Yes. And it's like, that's kind of a one-trick pony, and they gave him another trick, growing large, and it looks like they're doing... But again, not a lot you can do with that. So it kind of feels like, if all you can do is try and throw in new gimmicks, you clearly do not have a very successful property.
It's just the first trailer, but it's very gimmicky, yeah.
And it's the same gimmicks. That's the problem.
We should probably wrap up.
Yes, final walk back to Black Panther. So, about face.
We can't switch sides.
Oh, sorry. Breaking screen continuity. T'Challa was as awesome as he used to be. We talked about the tech.
Yes.
Wakanda was unfortunately a little more generic than, say, like Asgard in the first movie, so it's more like Asgard in the second and third movies.
Well, the problem is they didn't show much of it, right? Like, it looked like there was a lot there and a lot of promise.
Yeah. Well, they showed the streets, and they were like, sort of dusty streets, but they got like super hover cars, and they kind of looked like open air markets, but they also looked a little more contemporary.
I love
and I was
the
like,
design.
I didn't expect something like that to exist around here, and then they cut away from it again, and it's like,
and I'm a huge fan
then we went back to Savannah Plains or technological interiors.
It's like my favorite thing when they combine high-tech stuff with like really primitive-looking stuff.
And the idea of something being in more harmony with nature, which you'd like to hope a truly advanced society is.
Right. And so I really wish that they could have set more scenes there besides just some walking and talking scenes.
Yeah, but that was kind of a problem with Asgard too. When they were out in like mountains and rivers in Ragnarok as the people were leaving, I was like, oh, it's more than just a city and a waterfall that ends at the edge of the world? I didn't realize there were actually like land here. I thought this was pretty much just an urban dimension.
When Heimdall's doing his
Moses
like
thing.
his lone gunman thing.
Yeah. So clearly they just need to set a little more of their exotic location films in the exotic locations instead of the sets that just look like buildings
during on the Junk Planet.
So anything else about Black Panther?
It's one of the few Marvel movies that stands on its own 100%.
Yeah. The predictability of its plot weighs it down a little, I felt like, and kept it from sparking a certain something, but clearly the fact that it was still so good in spite of that meant that all the other elements were kind of through the roof.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't feel like there were any bad characters.
Right.
There was no one I was like, oh, that guy, I don't care, or oh, that one's just so annoying, I want to beat their brains in. Except, again, for, Green Lip Guy, and that was just because he did the thing that had to be done to get the plot going.
Yeah, somebody had to do it.
So yeah, that's not a thing I can say about a lot of movies lately. Even Ragnarok had some characters that was like, okay, you're kind of annoying, we go away now. If you have terrible, of which there are thankfully very few, just mediocre, which we've talked about Ant-Man and Doctor Strange at length, good, like the first Captain America, which like first half is amazing, the second half is kind of so it just averages to good, then great, then fantastic, which is where Ragnarok and Avengers are. This was definitely at the great level. It's like 2 tiers above just okay, just a tier below the real top gems, for me. What about for you?
No, I would agree with that too. The only thing that kept it from being that one step more was that they didn't do anything new with the story, like the major beats. But that's fine.
And that's the thing, that's not a complaint, it's just a thing that keeps it from getting a higher rating.
And
from standing out more, from being more striking, I guess.
They had humor without it being quippy the whole time, and that was nice.
And I liked that it took place in, like, the final battle in a sunny countryside. That was just pleasant.
Yeah.
I just liked that it was a pleasant place
for once. You
for
could see what was going on.
The sunset wasn't the best that I've ever seen, but it was pretty great sunset.
Well, that's our review.
Yeah, and if things keep going at my current pace of editing, it will come out long before Last Jedi Problems 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Sorry it's taking me so long to get to editing those.
I don't think anybody's holding their breath. I mean, if you get them done, I'll upload.
Yeah.
But I think everybody's moved on from Last Jedi at this point.
Yes.
All right.
We don't know how to wrap up one of these, so